All right, not my usual video type, but doing it anyway. A new ENA or ENA, or not entirely certain of the correct pronunciation of that, but the new ENA animation came out a couple days ago. I think 5 days now. It's called Power of Potluck. It's by Joel G on YouTube. Please watch it. It's really good. And it's part of a series that is very uh there's a lot of subtleties to the visuals, a lot of visual metaphors and stuff. Like the design of Ina herself is inspired by a Picasso painting, a very Picasso styled character. And there's a lot of subtleties to the visual metaphors. This one feels a little more direct, and like the animation itself is directly about depression and therapy and a lot of the feelings that go along with that. And I think it's a really good representation of it. So it I I'm not editing this, so I can't put a picture up, but Ina is normally uh got two visible sides, a yellow side, and which is the happy side, and the blue side, which is the sad side. And she has two separate voices, and it doesn't the voices don't necessarily correlate to a specific side, um, but there's a manner of speaking for each of the sides that correlates. And in this animation, uh, her sad side, her blue side, is represented by this mask, um, that looks mostly like her normal sad side face, except it's got a mouth on it that has a eye in there. That is the eye of the happy side, which looks like the sad side is eating the happy side. And the mask is, it's got these weird ribbons coming off of it that are not normal. It's a pink color. It's not normal for Ina. Um, and the the mask is attached by uh, a weird fleshy cord that's like looks almost like an umbilical cord, and it's clearly not natural and weird. Um, and normally Ina is portraying happiness and sadness a lot like the movie Inside Out, where it's both parts of it's parts of somebody that are natural and make somebody human. It's not saying one is the good side or the bad side. Um, and in this animation though, it's styled a lot after old 90s computer games, and it's got uh it's got a similar rendering style to like Five Nights at Freddy's, um and the sort of like slightly off-putting 3D renders, um and in this animation it starts out where Ina is kind of being dragged along by the mask. Like the mask is um, controlling, or not controlling, but leading her, maybe in a way that she doesn't want to go. Uh, and it starts off with her talking to another person in this strange landscape, and she says, "Might you sing me towards the fun?" Uh, and the character is called the Bunny Dancer, and the Bunny Dancer says, "You reek of unhappiness. You don't smell like you're having fun." Um, and Ina, not Ina, the mask says, "No, no, 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 no. I smell like so much fun." Um, and Ina doesn't really say anything. Like the mask is speaking for her. Um, And that's when I realized that the mask is representing depression. Like, it is the sad side, the sad feelings gone out of control, and not it's no longer a normal human emotion. It's something that's leading you along. And I was like, whoa. As somebody who has depression and has anxiety and ADHD and all those things that the ENA series tends to represent, and I think it does it in a very good way. Like, it's a very I guess it's a sort of strange, haunting beauty to the world of ENA. Like, there's a lot of strange 3D renders and things that are off-putting, but it's not represented as something to be afraid of, but something to be curious about and to learn about. And it feels like a very real representation of the world, even though it is strange and nothing is normal. And this was the point in the animation where I like tied all of that together, and I was like, oh, that's what this is about. And so it's like the mask, the depression is dragging her along and pretending it's all okay and that she's normal, and but it's not, and she's not. And as she goes along, she keeps talking to more people, and the animation is divided into a couple of acts, and like a stage play. And she goes up to just about to where Act 2 is, and she talks to a weird crying face on the wall, and she's like, aren't you supposed to be happy, having fun? And it's like the face says, oh, but I am. These are tears of joy. The next act gave me these. And the mask says, whoa, I wish I could buy some of those sound great. And then she goes into the next act, and it's all these weird masks and faces going in a strange pattern. But the mask, Ina's mask, is saying like, oh, I get it, it's such and such, I understand this is fun. And Ina says basically, yeah, I'm acknowledging the beauty and the intrigue of this, but I don't get it. I'm not having fun. And then she moves on and goes through more acts, and eventually she gets to one that is she's on a stage. And the people, there's two little shadows up on the stage. There's like a spotlight pointed down at the stage, and it's all floating off in space. And she says, I think I'm lost. I can't find my way to the next act. And the little shadows say, oh, you're a part of it. You're on the stage already. And that one of the interesting things visually about that act is the characters are shadows. Those two characters are shadows, and instead of having a shadow projected on the wall from the spotlight, it's bones. It's their skeletons projected on the wall. They're bearing everything up on that stage. And Ina is told to act on this stage, essentially. And the mask is having fun again, and she says, I acknowledge the crowd's accolades, or I don't remember the exact word she used, but I'm acknowledging the crowd, and they're acknowledging me, but I don't feel anything about it. I don't get it. Um, and then she just kind of breaks and she says, how does anybody have fun with this? And then the mask detaches. Um, and then it moves on to Act 5. The screen goes black, it goes to Act 5, and it says Act 5 Therapy. Um, and a skull floats in, and then more skulls float in, and it makes up this giant skull head, this very intimidating individual, and the music gets a bit ominous, and like all the words had been in red, um, like it's very intimidating, you know, and um, the this therapist creature. It's in the credits called the therapist, which I think is funny. Um, and he's got this really deep Morgan Freeman-esque voice, and he says, "What is the flavor of today's voyage or today's travels?" I don't remember the specific word. And ENA, I believe, through the mask, because ENA is hunched over. You can't see her face, and she's doing a sort of heartbeat motion with her hands, with both of her hands, like it's almost like chest compressions, self chest compressions. And I think through the mask she's saying this, and it's the one time the mask says something true in this whole animation. It says, "It tastes like agony, like I'm part of a cosmic soup." And then the mask is kind of floating around, and it has these sort of cracks in it. Not cracks, it looks like energy pulsing through it with a little bit of yellow, like the happy side. And then Ina looks up, and her normal human sad side is there for the first time in the animation. And she's talking about how she's trying to have fun and trying to be happy, and it's just not working. How she's been to this place. It's play, then in parentheses S, like place, but it's plays, because it's all stage play themed. And I thought that was a really fun play on words. And I can only see that because it's very video game styled. So it's like a old RPG text box, so you can see how what she's saying is spelled. And she says, "This plays," and it sounds like place. She says how she's been there again and again, and nothing has happened, nothing has changed. And then the therapist says, "It's not a it's a kind of fun that you haven't learned." And the truth is, you'll never find fun in this place. And he says, "Fun is," I have the line written down, "Fun is quite the elusive varmint, isn't it? But it's never lost forever. Often the greatest of fun is found in the littlest of moments." And in a line very uncharacteristic for Ina, it's kind of sarcastic and hurt sounding. Normally she's very upbeat and quirky and strange, and in a very honest feeling line, she says, "Like what? How little they are?" And then he says, you need not return here. This is your resolution." And it feels kind of harsh, like it's this place that she's trying to have fun in, and it's just not working. And like I understand that from a depression angle, like it just sometimes it doesn't, you don't feel the things you want to feel, you know, you don't feel the happy, you don't you can't even feel sad properly sometimes. Um, and then she's forced out of this place. Um, and then there's this wonderful shot where she's just standing there, staring at the door, um, for a good 10 seconds, and the camera cuts to a wider shot that has a lot more of the kind of looks like she's on the moon, looking at this door to this building that this whole thing has been taking place in, and she's just kind of standing there for a second, doesn't say anything, and then her friend Mooney, who's been a consistent character throughout the animations, who's just a moon, uh, with a funny funny little face and square hole where an eye would be on one side, and she'll usually stick something in there, and this time she's got a moon rock stuck in there, and she floats up, and uh, she goes, "Oh, Ina, you're supposed to. It's ring wrong run. You're supposed to ring the wrong doorbell and then run. Have you ever played this game before?" Um, and then she just asks how fun was it in there. Um, and Ina kind of slowly turns and just says, "It was pretty stuffy." And it's the first time the happy side is kind of making a joke, um and then there's this weird little creature next to Mooney that in typical Ina fashion does some nonsensical thing, and this little guy pops out of um the creature's mouth, and um the creature has like a zipper on his mouth, so he opens the zipper, and then this little guy comes out who also has a zipper on his head, and and then Ina just kind of stares at Mooney for a second and does a what I'm interpreting as a sort of look of realization that this is the little moments that the therapist is talking about, and Mooney just says what does a what are you looking at, basically, as a hand pops out of the square hole and grabs the little guy and pulls him into the hole, and there's like Gmod ragdoll noises, and then the animation ends, and like every animation so far in the Ina series has been about friends and been about those little moments, and feels kind of like Aesop's Fables, how there's a moral at the end, but it's a pretty consistent moral. Like, it's really trying to drive it home. Like, the first animation is Ina and Mooney hanging out at an auction, and it's just this strange auction, and they're just having a good time. And then the second animation, it's called Extinction Party. The first one is something auction. I don't remember the exact name. The second animation, though, is called Extinction Party, and Ina goes into this party. It's this weird maze to try and find Mooney. She wants to give her a gift, and she she gets to the end, and she opens up her hands, and there's nothing there. And Mooney's like, "Oh, I get it. The gift is me." Uh, and then they're just having fun after that, and it's about friendship, and about the gift of friendship. Like, I guess it's a pretty heavy-handed pun, but it works, you know. And then in the animation after that, it's called Temptation Stairway, and the whole driving plot point for it is Ina and Mooney are racing to get to this weird wish-granting creature called the Great Runus, and Ina gets sucked into its sort of pocket dimension sort of thing and is trying to find her way actually to it to have it grant her wish. And then she gets there, and then Mooney's already there, and uh, it's at a great point where like the music is swelling to. She goes into this big room that has a bunch of, because the Great Runus is like this big door shaped thing, and there's a bunch of them in there that are all gray and they have no color, and there's one at the end of this path that's got its color still, and the music is swelling to a point like it's very slow, and it's sort of trying to accentuate like a ethereal beauty to it. Like it's strange, it's not normal, and Ina is slowly walking along this pathway as the music swells and then stops on this one last note. And then Mooney says boo and comes up from behind Ina, and Ina's like, how did you get here so fast? And they as Ina talks to Mooney, each time it cuts back to Ina, her blue side is a little more yellow, and it eventually goes all the way to yellow, so she's fully yellow. And how she didn't need some wish or something, it's the time with her friend that she appreciated. And then it gets to this animation, and it's like I've always perceived, I don't know that is the specific intention, but Ina to me has always seemed like a character with depression. Like, even though the happy and sad sides are portrayed as normal human emotions, there are times where Ina will turn black and white or something, and will say something that is uncharacteristic for her. Usually quite dark in nature. And I think it's a really interesting way, and I think one of the most accurate ways I've seen to portray depression. And sort of, and it's all in this hauntingly beautiful little world, and this hauntingly strange way to portray it. But like this most recent animation, I think, was really good, and was a really effective way of portraying it. I find it really interesting how the therapist is this menacing creature that he's a little harsh too. He's blunt. He's getting to the point. He's getting to the meat of it. He's getting to the truth, and it hurts. It's not, therapy isn't a feel good thing. It's intimidating. It's not easy, you know? And especially to make changes afterwards. Like, you may know what's wrong, you may know what you need to do, but then doing it is a whole nother story. And the portrayal of, she's trying to find the fun, she's trying to do what everybody else is doing and enjoy it the same, and it's not working, and it's not going to work, and it's scary and weird, and like it is, it's a good representation of it. Like, it's And the resolution of the animation is not that, oh, Ina's depression is cured, because it's never just gone. Like, that's not quite how it works. Like, but she has the people there that are going to help her through it, and that she understands that by the end of it, and that she doesn't have to be normal, and that she doesn't have to experience fun the same way, and that she doesn't have to be okay all the time, and that it's okay to be not okay for a bit, because he says fun is quite the elusive varmint, but it's never lost forever. And then she's finding it again at the end. And I think it's really sweet, and it's a really good portrayal of depression. And I was feeling I was a little choked up after watching it the first time, because I hit a similar low point. Jeez, is that 2 years ago now? Yeah, that's 2 years ago now. Um, it it both feels like forever ago and not that long ago. Um, but I hit a similar low point where I was struggling. I was kind of off on my own in this little this the stage play, trying to be normal, trying to be okay when I just wasn't. Uh, and I remember the time, like the exact moment when things started to look up for me. Um, and I remember I posted on Twitter, like, it was 12 in the morning, 12 a.m., like midnight, um, on, or nearly midnight on a Wednesday, and I was just walking into work, because I was a janitor at the time. It was any hours, as long as I got it done before people were in the next day. It was fine. Um, and I was walking into work, and I felt okay for the first time in a long time. And I had just been talking to um, a friend of mine, uh, my best friend, um, and it was that was the little things. It was the things that pulled me out of that hard place. Was that, like, I don't know if I would be here today without that. Like, I don't know what would have happened, you know? And I just, all of that hit me all at once as I finished watching the animation, and just remembering all of that and appreciating it. And afterwards, I sent a couple messages to some of my best friends, and I've been talking with one of them about ENA and the themes and story stuff about it since then, and it's yeah, it's just good. And this was my now 30-minute long rant about how good this animation was. And I'm sure I could go on for longer, but I don't need to, because this is going to take up my entire phone's storage space, and it's going to take so long to upload. But if you've watched this far, thank you for watching this far. I may never make a video like this again. It would probably be good for viewer retention to never make a video like this again. But it was important to me to talk about it somewhere in a place that's recorded, that other people can see my feelings on this. And Again, if you've watched all the way through, I'm very grateful. Um, it's not monetized, so I'm not getting anything from it, but I like to I like to hear that people have enjoyed something I've made. Um, and that is all. Thank you.